The South African Global Sumud Flotilla activists return home today after attempting to establish a humanitarian corridor to break the siege of Gaza and after being imprisoned by Israel. Now, they arrived in Jordan yesterday after a few days in Israeli detention and are expected to land at the OR Tambo International Airport just after 9 a.m. SABC News reporter Khayalihle Khumalo standing by for us at the airport to give us the latest update. Kaya, and we know that that flight is expected to arrive on schedule, but of course also interested to know whether there are people coming through to welcome the activists back. Tell us what's happening at OR Tambo.
Well, certainly, Sakina, we're still just waiting keenly for the members of the families to come through here in this terminal. But by all means, it is a very important moment, Sakina. We know that the South African authorities, through the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, they've been working so hard, putting concerted efforts to make sure that it becomes a very seamless mission in terms of making sure that these South Africans are able to move to the other side, where they were received at the Jordanian diplomatic mission, and they were received by South Africa's ambassador, especially at this very critical time, Sakina. We saw the commemoration of this October 7th, marking almost a second-year anniversary since that incursion into Israel by Hamas, where over 1,200 people died in Israel, including that Nova festival where the youngsters were gathering. But also these activists, Sakina, were highlighting a very massive plight in Palestine that is unfolding, and we've seen the widespread condemnation, but also we've seen these reports of the mistreatment of these detainees, but now they are free since they are airborne. We do understand they'll be landing here. They've been traveling from Doha in Qatar, heading all the way right here in the southern tip of Africa. But joining us now is SABC's international correspondent here with me, Sophie Mokoena. So, Sophie, there is a context to this. We know that South Africa has been a very central player in terms of highlighting the very horrendous situation that is unfolding in Gaza, whether you're looking at through the International Court of Justice, but also all of this happens amid those talks underway in Sharm el-Sheikh with Hamas, Egypt, and many others trying to find a solution here.
You are correct. I think the Flotilla, they have kind of stolen the limelight in a sense that it is at the moment where Israel in particular is observing that moment on the 7th of October when that attack happened and people being killed, and later launching that military operation in Gaza. And now we're talking about thousands of Palestinians in Gaza who have been killed, particularly women and children. And therefore the talks also playing an important role in terms of trying to find a solution. As you pointed out, you have Qatar, you have the United States of America, you have Israel, you have Hamas now talking in Egypt, trying to find a solution. As you know that the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, a week ago announced that 20-point plan that can lead to perhaps a solution to the current conflict or the attacks that we see in Gaza. But unfortunately, there are burning issues where Hamas is saying it will not disarm unless Israel, on its part, make a commitment that they will completely withdraw from Gaza. You have a situation in terms of what must happen. There are contestation in terms of who are the people who can assist with the rebuilding of Gaza and who will run Gaza. And therefore, you have people who are saying, as President Trump has proposed, you need an independent structure led by him, including the former Prime Minister of United Kingdom, Tony Blair, controversial. You know the role he played in Iraq, and some people are still saying he still has to account, and therefore quite a controversial figure rejected by people of Palestine and Gaza. And the suggestion that you exclude the Palestinians, people are saying it cannot work. And therefore, the talks in Sharm el-Sheikh will look at how you find a solution and also to ensure that all sides do accept a proposal going forward, but it's going to be a very difficult one.
Sophie, it's been a very interesting turn of events. I mean, reflecting on the recently held United Nations General Assembly, the 80th session, on the margins, we saw a very unprecedented number of countries recognizing the state of Palestine, really just showing how these political tectonic plates are shifting in the Middle East, but also just in terms of recognizing that the Palestinian question cannot be ignored.
Well, we are correct. The General Assembly was dominated by the Middle East question. And I think for those who are in support of the Palestinian cause, they were quite happy because for the first time, many countries, including the developed North countries, supporting the Palestinians and supporting a push for two-state solution. I think President Trump was struggling to get people and rally support behind Israel. And therefore, for the first time, we saw this shift around the world. And not only in terms of states, but also ordinary citizens of the world. You look at different protests weekend, particularly last week, when people were protesting in support of those who were detained by Israeli government in international waters on those flotilla. And therefore, you can see that shift. It's not only as it relates to leaders of the world, but ordinary people on the ground. Some leaders are currently panicking because these issues are also affecting their electoral fortunes. You take a country like France, you look at Macron under siege, but also the issue of the plight of the Palestinians being at the center. You look at the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Starmer. He is also facing a huge pressure at home on national issues, including this issue of the Palestinians. And therefore, that whole shift is happening.
All right. Sophie, we're still going to be positioned here throughout the morning, Sakina, and obviously a very, very big moment, as you know, that for these family members, it's going to be a very interesting time, but also these activists, they've been admired, Sakina, for their bravery, as you know, that it was one of the biggest flotilla in terms of the maritime history, and also just people from so many walks of life. So they'll be touching down at around 9:35 here at OR Tambo. So with that, back to you in studio.
Oh, thanks so much, Khayalihle Khumalo. And of course, there with Sophie Mokoena, Griselda Lewis also there, and we'll be bringing you live coverage of the return of the flotilla activists.